Spotify has over 600 million users and hosts more than 100 million tracks. Every time a song is streamed, a fraction of a cent moves through a payment system that connects the platform to the music industry. Artists, songwriters, record labels, and publishers all have a claim on that fraction. But by the time the money finishes moving, through licensing agreements, label contracts, and distributor fees, the amount that reaches the person who actually made the music is often remarkably small. And Spotify, which sits at the top of the entire chain, keeps a significant share of everything before any of it moves at all. This is the story of how Spotify's payment system actually works. Where the money comes from, how it gets divided, who takes what at each stage, and why the structure of the system produces outcomes that surprise most people when they see the numbers. To understand how Spotify pays artists, you first need to understand how Spotify generates revenue. The business runs on two income streams. The first is subscriptions. Spotify offers a premium tier that charges users a monthly fee for ad-free listening, offline downloads, and higher audio quality. The second is advertising. Users who choose the free tier listen to ads between songs, and those ads generate revenue from the brands paying to reach Spotify's audience. Both streams feed into a single pool of revenue that Spotify then uses to pay its costs, including, most significantly, the cost of licensing the music it streams. Music licensing is the financial foundation of the entire model. Spotify does not own the music on its platform. It licenses it. And the terms of those licenses determine how much of its revenue Spotify must pay out to rights holders before it can retain anything for itself. Spotify pays out approximately 2/3 of its total revenue, historically in the range of 65 to 70%, to rights holders. This is not a small number. It means that for every dollar Spotify collects from subscribers and advertisers, roughly 65 to 70 cents leaves the company in the form of royalty payments before operating costs are even considered. The remaining 30 to 35 cents is what Spotify has available to cover its technology infrastructure, its staff, its marketing, and its own financial returns. The royalty payments flow in two directions simultaneously. The first is to master rights holders, typically record labels, who own the recordings themselves. The second is to publishing rights holders, typically music publishers and performing rights organizations, who represent the underlying composition, meaning the melody and the lyrics written by the songwriter. A single stream of a song can trigger payments to both of these parties, because the recording and the composition are legally distinct assets with separate ownership. For most commercially released music, the master rights are held by a record label. The major labels, Universal Music Group, Sony Music, and Warner Music Group, between them control a substantial portion of the music that generates the most streams on Spotify. These labels negotiated licensing agreements directly with Spotify that govern how much Spotify pays per stream, or more precisely, how Spotify calculates the royalty pool and how it is distributed. The specific terms of these agreements are not public, but their general structure is understood. Labels receive payments from Spotify and then distribute a portion of those payments to the artists signed to them, according to the individual contracts each artist has with their label. This is where the distance between Spotify's payment and the artist's receipt becomes significant. Spotify does not pay artists directly in most cases. It pays labels, and labels pay artists according to their recording contracts. Contracts that were typically negotiated before streaming existed as a significant revenue source, and that often allocate a relatively small percentage of streaming income to the artist after the label recoups its costs. An artist signed to a major label might receive 15 to 25% of the streaming royalties the label receives on their behalf, after deductions. The label retains the rest. Independent artists who distribute their music without a label deal receive a larger share of streaming royalties, but they access Spotify through a digital distributor. a company that aggregates music from independent artists and delivers it to streaming platforms in exchange for either a flat annual fee or a percentage of the royalties earned. After the distributor takes its share, the independent artist receives what remains. The percentage is higher than a signed artist would typically receive from a major label, but the total volume is often lower because independent artists generally have smaller audiences and generate fewer streams. The actual calculation of how much any given stream is worth is not a fixed rate. Spotify does not pay a set amount per stream. Instead, it uses a model called pro rata distribution. Here is how that works. At the end of each month, Spotify calculates its total royalty pool, the amount available to distribute after it retains its share. It then determines what percentage of total streams on the platform each track accounted for. A track that represented 1% of all streams in a given month receives 1% of the royalty pool. A track that represented 0.01% receives 0.01% of the pool. The consequence of this system is that the value of a single stream is not constant. It depends on how large the royalty pool is that month and how many total streams were performed across the entire platform. As Spotify's subscriber base has grown and its total revenue has increased, the royalty pool has grown in absolute terms. But as the platform has also grown in the total number of streams, more users, more tracks, more listening hours, the per-stream rate has remained very small. Current estimates place the average per-stream payment from Spotify to rights holders in the range of 3 to 5 thousandths of a dollar. An artist whose song is streamed 1 million times might receive between $3,000 and $5,000 from Spotify before the label takes its share, before the distributor takes its fee, and before the publishing rights holder receives the portion owed to the songwriter. The reason this model works for Spotify is that it converts a fixed cost structure into a variable one. Rather than paying a fixed license fee for the right to stream music, Spotify pays a percentage of its revenue. When Spotify's revenue grows, the royalty pool grows. When revenue shrinks, payouts shrink. This means that Spotify's content cost, its single largest expense, is naturally tied to its income, which provides a degree of financial stability that a fixed licensing model would not. The risk of paying more for content than the content generates in revenue is substantially reduced. It also works because of the scale of the catalogue. Spotify offers access to over 100 million tracks. No individual track, with very few exceptions, is so essential that its removal would cause significant subscriber cancellations. This means Spotify negotiates from a position of considerable leverage, particularly with smaller rights holders and independent artists. The value of being on Spotify, the exposure, the discovery, the access to hundreds of millions of potential listeners, is itself an argument that labels and artists must weigh against the per-stream rates they receive. Spotify's scale makes it difficult to negotiate from the outside. What makes this model scalable is the structure of streaming itself. Once a track is licensed and uploaded, it can be streamed an unlimited number of times at no additional cost to Spotify, beyond the royalty payment triggered by each stream. There is no physical product to manufacture, no inventory to manage, no shipping to coordinate. The marginal cost of one additional stream is effectively zero from an operational standpoint. As Spotify adds subscribers and those subscribers stream more music, revenue grows and royalty payments grow, but the underlying infrastructure cost per stream continues to decline as fixed costs are spread across a larger volume of activity. The advertising tier adds another dimension. Free users generate revenue through ads without paying a subscription fee, and their streams still contribute to the royalty pool calculation. This means Spotify can monetize its entire user base, not just the subscribers who pay, which expands the total revenue available to distribute and improves the per-stream rate slightly for rights holders, while also giving Spotify a revenue stream from users who would not pay for a subscription. What Spotify has built is a distribution system for recorded music that sits between the people who make music and the people who listen to it, and extracts value from both relationships simultaneously. Listeners pay for access. Rights holders pay, in the form of accepting below-market per-stream rates, for distribution to a global audience they could not reach independently. Spotify sits in the middle, retaining its share, and the architecture of the system ensures that share is protected regardless of how the music industry around it evolves. The music plays. The fraction of a cent moves. Most of it stops well before it reaches the artist. And the platform that built the pipe the money flows through keeps the portion that makes the whole arrangement worth running in the first place.